Hey, Ange, you are muted.
Sorry, I thought I clicked to unmute myself.
Do you want to collapse that box too?
Yeah. So I'll start again. So today's Lunch and Learn is focusing on uploaded content and scenario details. Before we get started, we wanted to take a moment to recognize all that IT and informatics staff are doing right now to assist with the current COVID-19 pandemic, and thank you for your hard work. So the agenda for today, we're going to start with uploaded content and how to make the most of it, scenario details that get updated during a test round, using the test planning report to update scenario details, rounds of testing in the work from home world and what we recommend as best practice, and then our new WBT. So uploaded content and how to make the most of it. A lot of clients start off by uploading existing test scripts that they have to get up and running in TransIT quickly. And once a test script has been uploaded, those ZZZ tasks that come in with your script can be turned into workflows and then be modified to be used over and over again inside different scenarios. So as soon as you have your scenario uploaded into TransIT, you can click the steps link from the scenarios page. And this is, of course, going to take you inside to the scenario steps page. What you'll want to do is review your scenario and identify spots where there's workflows that are reusable that can be put into other scenarios. So the first thing you'll want to do is click the down arrow beside the first step that you want to select. When you do that, it's going to switch all of the down arrows to be upward facing arrows. So you'll then scroll through and click the up arrow beside the last step that you want to select. Once you've done that, it'll put a red check mark beside all of the steps that have been selected and give you a list of options. So we're going to select the create workflow option. And what this is going to do is take you to the new workflow page. And here you'll need to put in the workflow details, so the name, description, project, facility, etc. And it's going to tell you the number of tasks that are included in your scenario, or sorry, in your workflow. When you click save, it's going to then take you to the workflow task page, and you'll see the tasks that were added to your workflow. If you click on the task name, you can then review what's included inside each task. So what we recommend that you do is review the steps inside your task to see where there's spots that you can modify information to make it more reusable inside different scenarios. So looking at step number 3 here, my recommendation would be to click the edit link here. Since the step is saying that you're searching for an orderable, I would recommend entering a details placeholder so that anytime this workflow is used inside a scenario, you've got that placeholder where you can put in what the specific orderable name is. So you'll modify any of the details that you want inside your workflow to, again, make it more usable inside different scenarios as well. Once you've modified everything that you need for your workflow, we recommend that you rename the task names from its current ZZZ to something that's going to be more appropriate. So this is going to make sure that tasks don't inadvertently get deleted, and it's also going to make it easier to search for tasks when you're going to build tasks and workflows. So scenario details get updated during a test round. So by making use of the actual scenario header to indicate which fields require update during the round of testing, you can save yourself some time. And you can also put in prompts for users to go in to update certain test header details during a specific round of testing. So from the scenario menu option, if you were to go in and look at your scenario header details, you should have the fields. There's going to be fields that are updated for each different round of testing. So certain fields are going to be constant, like the age, the address, etc. But certain fields are going to be updated each round of testing. So rather than putting a specific name inside at the scenario level, we leave those fields as update. So update last name, update MRN, update FIN. And so what this does is it gives a prompt to the people participating in testing to make sure that they update those fields for each round of testing. So this will make sure that you're not going to be using the exact same old patient information, so patient name, MRN, FIN, case number, things like that. Then once you've added your scenarios to a round of testing, so you set up your test dashboard, you'll want to update the header information that's going to be specific for that round of testing. So you'll click either the view link under the header column, or if you've gone into one of your scenarios, it would be the test header link, and you'll update the information that's going to be specific for that round of testing. So to compare the two, on the left-hand side is what you'll see from the scenario link. So when you've selected the scenario menu item and you view the header for your scenario, it's going to have those update messages for you. And then once you've gone into a specific header for a round of testing, you'll update that information to be specific for that round of testing. So you can see on the right-hand side, it's got a note at the top indicating that the header details are specific for this particular round of testing. So using the test planning report to update scenario details. So using the report to update services and subservices in your header details, and then that will help to fill out your scenario script coverage report. So to access the test planning report, you'll want to click Reports from the menu and then select Test Planning. That will then prompt you to select the scenarios that you want to include in your report, and you'll click Generate. And this is going to then generate an Excel report for you. By default, it's going to have you land on the Positions tab, but you're going to want to select the Scenarios tab. Once you've selected the Scenarios tab, you're going to then want to turn on Filters. So select Filters from the Sort and Filters drop-down list. Once you've got Filters turned on, you're going to want to click the Scenario drop-down list and type in the specific scenario name into the search field and press Enter. Once you do that, you're going to have a list of all of the services that are services and subservices that are included for each scenario. What you're going to then want to do with this information is you're going to have the report open and then also open to the scenario details page for each different scenario. So reminder that at this point, you want to be updating for the scenario as a whole. So not the scenario for a specific round of testing, but the scenario details from the scenario menu item. So when you click Edit Details, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and look for where the services and subservices options are. Then you'll click the Add. Take you to the service selection page. Then click Save once you've selected all the services and subservices that you want to.
Hey, Ange, I think you need to mute all and then unmute yourself because it seems like we're getting feedback now.
I don't know how to do that since I've dropped my. Okay, is that better?
Appears to be, yes.
Okay, so from the service selection page, you're going to want to select all of the services and subservices that were indicated from the test planning report that you just ran. Once you've selected all the options that you want to select, you will click Save. When you click save, you can see here that I'm still editing my scenario details. So it's listed all the services and sub-services that I've selected, but it hasn't quite saved the information to my scenario details yet. So you want to make sure that you click save a second time, and you know your details have been saved when you're at the view scenarios page and your details are showed, your services and sub-services are showed like this. You also want to make sure that you're reviewing your scenarios to complete the transition of care information as well and have that added to your scenario header. Once you've got all of that information completed, what you'll want to do is run the scenario script coverage report. To run that, you'll click reports from the menu item and then select the items that you want to include when you're running the report. So for my example, I've showed services, sub-services, and transitions. So you'll select the items that you want and then you'll click generate. And when you do that, it's going to generate the report for you to give you a good visual on what items are included for each scenario. So by completing as much of the scenario header details as possible for each of your scenarios, and then running this report, it's going to be a great tool for you to help decide what scenarios to run for a different project or each round of testing that you're doing. So rounds of integration testing in the world, in the work from home world. So a lot of us are working from home right now. And so these are some of the best practice suggestions that we have to make it easier for everybody to be working remotely while still doing rounds of testing. So you can utilize some different dashboard features to help facilitate and monitor the script movement. And you can use tools like Teams, or if there's a different application that your organization uses to communicate, to have voice-to-voice communication or instant chat so that people can communicate with each other while doing a round of testing. So the items that you're going to want to use from the test dashboard are the auto refresh and the clock icon. And by default, when you set the auto refresh, it's going to automatically set you up to refresh every 5 minutes. So that's going to refresh your dashboard with the most up-to-date information every 5 minutes. And the clock is automatically going to be set to every 10 minutes. And that you may decide after, if giving it a try, you may decide that you want to change the duration of time to be a longer or shorter duration of time, whatever works for your organization. So by using the clock icon, it's going to indicate to you, it's going to put a clock icon beside a scenario that hasn't had a step executed in a particular, in whatever the duration of time that you've set when you turn on the icon. So in conjunction with using the auto refresh and the clock icon, we recommend using the notes along the right-hand side to communicate with the team so they know who's up in a particular scenario and to be able to indicate when someone is working on that scenario. So by using the pushpin icon, the note icon, we recommend that for starters, you put in bold the team name who's responsible for the step that is up next. So that would be the person who's coordinating your round of testing would go in and put in bold the team that's up next for each scenario step. When the person in that team picks up the scenario and decides, okay, I'm going to work on this scenario. So scenario number 18 was assigned to the ambulatory team, but I am Amy Ambulate, and I decide I'm going to start working on this scenario. I'm going to change where it says ambulatory to be my name so that I'm indicating to everybody that I am currently working on scenario number 18. So when I finished my steps, what you'll do is then delete your name from the field there, and that's going to return the push pin again. And then that indicates to the person coordinating the round testing that whoever was up and executing those steps, they finished what they're doing, and now I'm ready to assign to a particular team again. So then they'll go through the steps of clicking the push pin and writing in bold the team name who's up next for that particular scenario. And then when a scenario is finished for the day, you can put in either a finished or an end of day. Besides that, everybody's got that very clear visual indication of where things are at for each different scenario being run. So last thing is the new WBT. So big thanks to our friends at Circle Health who have updated the WBT for us, and it's looking great. So the WBT now includes all of the new functionality that we've added. So if you're wanting to access the WBT, you would click the reports menu item. You'll then select training material, and then the first option is going to be the TransIT WBT. So we definitely recommend if you have new analysts or informaticists on your team to definitely have them run through the TransIT WBT to get them more familiar with TransIT. So that was everything that I was going to show. Does anybody have any questions about anything that was covered today, or also suggestions on any future lunch and learns that you'd like to see?
You'll have to unmute yourself if you have a question.
Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, then that's it for us today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks.
Thank you.